This is probably the most important tip to pass this test on the first time. What's up, everybody? My name's John Stevens, and today we're going to talk about how to get a real estate license in the state of North Carolina. In order to get a license in North Carolina, there's really four main things that you need to know to get started. First of all, who is required to have a real estate license in the state of North Carolina? In general, any person or business entity who transacts real estate brokerage business, including timeshares, for compensation as an agent or another, must first obtain a real estate license issued by the North Carolina Real Estate Commission. So how do you qualify to even get a license? You've got to be at least 18 years of age. You've got to be a U.S. citizen. You've got to have a social security number. You've got to satisfy the education requirements, and that's what we're about to dive into. Then file an application, pay the fee, pass the two-part exam, the state and national test, and then of course satisfy the commission that you have the character that they require to get licensed. Alright, there's three different license statuses in North Carolina. You have a provisional broker, a regular broker, and a broker in charge. We'll break those down in just a little bit. Okay, so once you've read and understand the requirements, what's next? Alright, the first thing you got to do is sign up for the 75-hour course. Okay, this is the pre-licensing course. This is where it all starts. This is where it gets real. On average, it costs about $500, and these schools around here make a pretty sweet deal on, getting you into the school. You can pay $250 up front, so that's $250 out of pocket to see if this is something you actually want to do. There's dozens of schools available. I can tell you my personal favorite and the place that I went to school a few years ago, Cumbie and Troll in Asheville. They're phenomenal. They offer in-person, online courses, and then hybrid courses, where it's like part online, part offline. Whatever really works for you, you have those options these days. Okay, like I said, you pay $250 up front, and then you pay the remaining balance at midterms. Essentially, what you're going to learn in real estate school is a lot about the law, really understanding the differences in agency and how agency works. You'll be learning about finance and closing disclosures and different things. The math isn't super crazy, okay? If you're not a math person, you can still do this, I promise. We have technology these days that really does a lot of the math for us. I will tell you that real estate's not really for the faint of heart. 80% of agents quit within the first 2 years. And then at 5 years, 1 out of every 10 is actually still in the business. So it's a real deal. You've really got to be prepared. You really have got to be focused and understand what you want to do. And I promise that you will be successful in this business. Okay, learning all of that. As soon as you pass your exams, you get out in the real world, you hang your license out of brokerage. I'm not going to say that you should forget everything that you learned, but everything that you're going to learn from that point forward is going to be totally different than what you learned in school. Alright, you must score a 75% or greater to pass the course, and you're allowed to miss 15 hours and still get counted, still be able to take the test. So you got to be there for at least 60 hours, online, in person, however you're going to do it. Alright, step 2 is going to be to submit a license application to the Real Estate Commission as well as a background check. This is going to be the second expense that you really occur in this, which is a $100 fee for the application. Now, you must be approved by the commission at this point before you can move on to step 3. So once your license application and background check has been approved, we're going to move on to the third step. That's going to be contacting the testing center and getting ready to take your state and national exam. This is the point that it gets real. I'm going to throw in a bonus tip right here before I get to my tips at the end of this video on how to pass the test. I highly advise that you go ahead and contact the testing center while you're still in school, and I'll explain this in just a minute. When you get to the testing center, you're going to be allowed a total of 4 hours to complete this test. You're going to get 2.5 hours for the national exam and an hour and a half for the state exam. You must get 57 of 80 questions correct on the national exam, and you must get 29 out of 40 on the state exam to pass. Now the computer will tell you on the spot whether or not you pass or fail. I mean, as soon as you get to the end and you click submit, it's going to pop up national and it's going to pop up state. Best case scenario, it's going to say pass on both of them, and then you're done. If you happen to fail either the national or the state exam or both of them, you must wait a full 24 hours before you can reapply to take the test again. Caveat with that, if you fail either part of the test, no matter if it's the short one or the long one, it's going to cost you about $160 to retake the test. This is why it's really, really important that you study and focus and take this seriously, because it can get you. I'll tell you that when I took midterms in school, I scored like a 55. Like, I totally thought this was not going to be something I was going to be able to accomplish. I kind of got my act together at that point in time, really doubled down in paying attention in class. This is when we had in-person class and we would goof off and stuff. From there, I passed the course exam with no problem. I mean, they kind of give you all the answers the day before. They don't really tell you that's what they're doing, but you got to make sure that you make that study day and just almost remember word for word what they tell you. You'll have no problem passing the course exam. I was super nervous for the state national exam. You know, I'm a faithful person. I prayed. I was like, God, please help me get through this. You know, it's pretty tough. As fortune has it, I did pass the state and national exam on the first try. So I never had to deal with doing any of the redo, the retest taking, all that stuff. But I will tell you that my brain was totally mush at the end of it. I think it took me about 2 days to recover. Like, I was so happy that I passed, but I was so tired that I didn't even really celebrate. All right, the fourth step. So now that you've gone through the 75-hour class, you passed the course exam, you then scheduled and passed the state and national exam. Congratulations. You're now going to receive your real estate license. As long as no character issues are found in your background, you will be receiving your real estate license in about 10 days in the mail. Once you have your license in hand, it's time to really make the decision on where you're going to hang your license, okay, where you're going to do business at. I will tell you from my personal experience that I was already recruited by a company before I even went to real estate school, so I had a really narrow mind about where I was going to go. As soon as I got my license, I immediately started with EXP Realty. Absolutely phenomenal company. It was great as a new agent. I got a lot of hands-on training. They had unlimited training for new agents, and that really, really helped. That was before the time that my current company was really on the map, and honestly never even heard of them. So after about 1.5 years of being at Exit, you know, I decided on some personal choices and different things that it was time for me to supposedly move up. At that point in time, I interviewed, decided that RE/MAX was going to be a good fit, and I was actually out in Waynesville, North Carolina. Phenomenal place. It's like a family out there. Some of my favorite people in the world. They'll always be my favorite people. I was there for a little bit over 2 years. Like I said, great company. I really grew my business. That was kind of taking it from the beginning to really going to the next level. Of course, then last year I decided to make the move, probably the biggest move of my career, over to EXP Realty. I just recently dropped a video on why I left RE/MAX for EXP. You can check that out on my channel. If you have any questions about joining EXP, I'd love to answer them. You know, feel free to send me a message, or if you have questions about any of the other firms that I mentioned that I've been a part of, you know, I'd love to help you out in your decision-making process. All right, getting back to essentially the final step. So once you've chosen your firm, then you have to join your local MLS board and then get your realtor designation. So that takes some time depending on the area you're in. You know, I'm with Canopy, great MLS. It takes them time to do stuff. You know, it may take you up to 2 weeks before you actually get into the MLS. You know, once you do that, there's still some additional training. I'll tell you straight up, there's a lot of training that has to be done and after you receive your real estate license. It is what it is. You'll make it through it. You'll know whether or not you love it or you hate it. And if you love it, you're going to do what you got to do to get the stuff done. All right, now that I've gone through the process on how to get your license, it's time for me to tell you my personal tips on how to pass the test and how I passed every test on the first try. Tip number 1, study, 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 study. You may not like studying. I don't really care. I'm going to tell you straight up. I hate studying, but I knew that's what I had to do to pass the test. Okay, don't take this like, oh, I got it. I ain't got to worry about this. I know I can pass it. This test was written by the North Carolina Bar Association. So you have a bunch of attorneys that got together and decided to write a test for realtors. And I promise you, they didn't do it to make it easy. All right, my second tip, and what I started discussing earlier in this video, okay, it is super, super important that you take a little bit of a gamble and go ahead and schedule your test, your final test, while you're still in real estate school. The reason why I'm saying that is that our brain can only retain information for so long. Okay, and if you wait until after you've passed your course exam to start scheduling your test, they don't schedule immediately. I mean, it could take up to 2 to 3 weeks after you pass the course to actually get into the testing center. Now, you can take that time to study, but I'm telling you, coming fresh off the course exam and just waiting a couple days and getting to the state national exam is going to be key in passing the test on the first try. So my next tip on taking the exam, and I'm going to be pretty blunt with this, but you've got to be able to decipher the difference between the truth and what is total bull, okay? Like I told you before, attorneys wrote this test, so it's not made to be cut and dry. You'll get to know attorneys, and they never really give you a straight answer because there's so many different possibilities. That's a whole nother thing. What I'm getting at is that every question is multiple choice. Aside from 1 or 2 math questions they might sprinkle in there, which you'll be prepared for. But this is the crazy part, is that you have choice A, B, C, and D, and A, B, and C are going to be the right answer. So naturally, we're going to say, boom, you read the question, you see A, oh yeah, that's the right thing. I know I studied for this, I know it's right. You click A and you move on. Do not do that. You've got to reread the questions, and you've got to reread each answer, because one of A, B, and C is going to be more correct than the other two. And that's what you have to figure out. So it's not exactly about what's right, it's about what's most right. Which is kind of ironic, because whenever you get into your career, you're going to see that the decisions that you make for your clients have to be the most right decision. All right, my last tip, okay, and this is probably the most important tip to pass this test on the first time. You have got to take your time. They give you 4 hours. I used 3 hours and 55 minutes to take my test. And I'm a test taker, which means I take tests extremely fast. You've got to slow down. If you're not sure which one of the answers is the most right answer, then you hit the skip button and you come back to it at the end. Do not get hung up on one question. If you can't answer it for sure within 30 seconds to a minute, move on to the next one. You've got like 150 questions to do. You cannot get hung up on one. All right, so congratulations. You have now become a provisional broker in the state of North Carolina. Unfortunately, that's not all, but you're able to start selling houses and start recouping some of your investment that you made in your education by closing a couple while you finish out what it takes to be able to become a full broker. Just to hit on that super fast, and there'll be another video about this in the future, once you're a provisional broker, in order to remove the provisional status off of your license, you must complete 3 30-hour courses with a school of your choosing. Really, I went back to the same school and did it. Like I said, these days you can do it online. I think they give you like 18 months now to get them done. When it was me, I could do 1 a year, so it was kind of easy. But make sure that you get refocused and get right back into knocking out those classes. They do have tests at the end, but they give you the answers. So it's not really going to be like you have to study for those. You take it right there in the class. All right, as a realtor, every year, aside from the year that you take your post-licensing, you've got to take 8 hours of continuing education. 4 hours of a general update or a big update if you become a broker in charge, and 4-hour elective, where you get to choose kind of what you want to learn about. I'm not going to say they're all fun. There's a couple that are interesting. You'll learn something from each one, but it's part of the business. They want us to stay educated. I totally get it. In conclusion, picking a career in real estate is no joke. Remember to be prepared, to save money if you can, to be prepared for the expenses that it's going to take to get your license off the ground. And most importantly, expect the unexpected. This is a business that anything can happen. It's super rewarding. There is a lot of things that you can do to be very successful in this business. I recommend anyone that has any inclination to want to pursue a career in real estate to do it. You only live once. And with all that, I'll leave you with one of my favorite lines: never give up. So that's all for today. I appreciate you tuning in. If you would like this video and subscribe, I have new videos coming out every week. It's going to be about, these type of subjects, some more intense subjects on, how to be a better realtor or how to be better in your business, a better leader, all those things coming up.